What is the EU Hub? That's a good question. Well, basically, we realized we have quite some good projects that we have launched in the last framework program 7 call, and then the best good idea is why not put them together and work so that they can work, share some resources, coordinate between them, basically have a bigger impact. So that's the main point. Have a bigger impact. Basically supporting entrepreneurship, both in the startup phase and in the growth phase, so that in Europe we are, having not only more startups and more entrepreneurship, but bigger, that they grow and go beyond the European border. They go to why not become the next Google and the next Facebook, but out of Europe. I would say both, but if I have to rank them, I think the growth is a bit of a bigger issue than the startup. For sure, we can improve on startups, but I think if you look what happened with the startups is that too many of them are, I don't know whether they are both by let's say an American competitors, or they move completely out of Europe. And too few of them, I would say even perhaps none of them, are growing into big companies. There is some interesting statistics, for example, with the number of big young European companies, and basically there are only not even a handful of them. There is a SAP, which is, well, you can challenge if it's young, it's from 70, and then Vodafone, and there is another one. But I think in the ICT domain, these are it. I mean, a real big company. Let's take the ACE project, which is designed to support the company to grow through internationalization, and we know that this is one of the best way to help the companies from the beginning, because it's one thing to say, okay, I will go and I will first target my national or even regional market, and then I will go for European and I will go for international. Why not go for international from the day one? And that's a much better strategy, I think. I think there are a lot of them. Unfortunately, one of the biggest one is the lack of the incompleteness of the digital single market, because in Europe we have together over 500 million consumers, which is of course bigger than the US. But then if you look into the digital domain, this one is most of the time, fragmented through the national of 28 national, countries, or even a bit more if you take the EFTA into account. But still, there is no one single market, be it for telecom or be it for digital services and so on and so on. So I think this is number one, if we call it. Of course, then the access to finance for growth. For seed as well, but for growth especially, it's a big issue. As soon as a company needs, a second and third round, a bit more like 7 or 10 million euros to grow and expand, then it has an issue finding, VC, for example, to give money. Almost the only one, I would say, are the Americans, because they are big enough to lend to only one single company over 10 million euros. And unfortunately, most of the time, this comes with a request or encouragement to move to US, exactly because there they have, a bigger market. EIG will focus a bit of bringing more, if you want, awareness and access to finance readiness for the projects that are, participating in EU research and innovation projects, because we have seen that a lot of times there are good results, but they are, not brought to the market. In some cases, well, and then this is good, but in some cases we see that the potential could have been bigger. And not only that, to do this, kind of at the end of the project, but to do this from the beginning of the project, so that the EIG will work with all these research projects, and I just want to mention that in the last work program on FP7 there was over 1.1 billion euro invested in ICT research projects, so that they will work with this project to raise their awareness about commercialization, about access to finance, about let's say commercialization readiness.